This is the Sic Em Podcast. The Sic Em Podcast is a production of Baylor Athletics. Now, here are your hosts, Brooke Bednarz and the voice of the Bears, John Morris.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's Sic Em Podcast, a production of Baylor Athletics. We're glad you're with us again this week. John Morris and Brooke Bednarz. We're going to go off the field, off the diamond, off the court today because this is Big 12 Mental Health Awareness Week. This is a real issue in the Big 12 Conference at Baylor on college campuses nationwide. It is an area that is addressed very, very well here in Baylor Athletics in our area of health and wellness. Dr. Monique Marsh-Bell and her staff do a tremendous job with Baylor Athletics addressing these needs. As such, today, Brooke Bednarz will sit down with two Baylor basketball players, Queen Egbo from the women's team and Adam Flagler from the men's team, and get their thoughts on this situation in their lives, in their sport, and on the Baylor campus. So here is first Brooke with Queen Egbo as we recognize Big 12 Mental Health Awareness Week.
It is Big 12 Mental Health Awareness Week from February 19th to 26th. And so we want to take some time to visit with Queen Egbo of Baylor women's basketball to talk about this important topic. Queen, thanks for taking the time to visit with us today.
No problem.
So let's just kind of start from the top. When you heard about the Big 12 hosting this Big 12 Mental Health Awareness Week during the basketball season, what was your first reaction as a student athlete?
I thought it was a positive step in the sports community because a lot of times people don't check in on other athletes. They just assume that everything's going okay and they must be feeling well because they're playing well, but you never know the underlying conditions of what somebody's going through mentally. And so I feel like it was very positive. It was a good start in the start of just making something new.
Talk a little bit about how much mental health plays into your success on and off the court.
Mental health is a big factor in whether I'm kind of playing well. If I don't feel good, if I've been in a slump, I haven't been feeling like myself, then it's hard to get motivated for a big game. But if I'm feeling good, if I'm confident, if I'm good mentally, then it's not as hard. It's actually a lot easier to get motivated because you're in the right state of mind and you have a clear head. You're not thinking too much and you don't have people in your ear. And so mental health does play a big part in the way you perform and how you're motivated.
Baylor Athletics, the department as a whole, has really taken a big step in making note of this initiative and making it a priority here for all of you student athletes with the mental health department. Is there a certain group, whether it's a coach or a counselor or just anyone in general from your time here at Baylor that has really helped you recognize the importance of your mental health and how that plays into you as a person, both as a student in the classroom and then as an athlete on the court?
I would say Sophia on staff does a really good job of making sure everybody's okay. She's always checking in with our teammates and myself and asking, hey, how are you today? How are you feeling? Are you good? And it's actually very genuine. Like, she's asking from the heart and she genuinely cares. And so it's nice to know you have people around you who check in on you mentally, not just physically, and how you're doing on the court.
A lot of times, do you feel like people can get caught up in your stats and things like that to where maybe they don't recognize or they forget that you're also a person, not just an athlete?
Yeah, it happens all the time.
So to know that someone is kind of in your corner, like you mentioned, Sophia and the rest of the staff, to know that they are checking on you, what does that make you feel? How does that make you feel?
It lets you know that you have not only good people, but you have a family who cares about you, and it feels like a family here. And not only, like I said, do they care about you physically as well as how you're playing on the floor, but they genuinely care about how you are mentally. And I know if I walked into any of the coach's office and I was like, I just don't feel good today, like I could have that conversation with them and they would genuinely care about what I'm saying, not just, oh, okay, well, you need to, get yourself together because we have a big game coming up tomorrow or today or whatever the situation is. I know that they'll genuinely be there for me and that they'll be able to listen and confide in me and I can confide in them. And so it's just kind of a family home environment.
Do you think that first of all, it's great that you feel that way. But in the years past, some of these conversations have revealed that maybe you didn't always feel that way. And student athletes maybe didn't always feel comfortable having those conversations with their coaches or others. So do you think that there's still somewhat of a stigma around college athletes and speaking out about mental health?
Yeah, I know for a lot of people, speaking out isn't very common in their program, and it's sad. Mental health has taken a big jump in college athletics and sports in general. It's gotten a lot better. People are a lot more comfortable talking about it, but there's also a lot of people who aren't comfortable and a lot of coaches and programs who do not make them feel comfortable. And it just sucks that they don't have that outlet and that they're still going through things mentally. But like I said, it is growing day by day and it is getting a little better. And so all you can ask for is improvement.
In that regard, there has been some improvement here, like you said, to the point that you feel comfortable speaking with your coaches, speaking with me here today and in front of everyone listening. So what made you feel comfortable enough to talk about this topic today?
It's one of those hard conversations that have to be said. They have to be talked about because if you don't put yourself out there, if you're not vulnerable with your mental state and how you're going and how you're doing, then it's hard for other people to be vulnerable as well, because as athletes, we put on a facade that we're always okay, we're always doing good. And when people ask you like, how are you doing? Oh, good. Like, So sometimes it's hard to be genuine and vulnerable, but it's important. And so that's why I felt like this is something I can and should do, because I know how important it is for other people to hear somebody. And I know how important it is for myself to talk about it as well.
Kind of going off of what you just said, you're, a senior center for the Bears. You've had a long, great career here, and we're only halfway done with the season, so that's exciting. But there are a lot of younger athletes on your team who look up to you, as well as just younger athletes in the Central Texas area who will be watching this. So kind of what's your advice to them if they're maybe on the brink of feeling comfortable to talk about it, or maybe they're going through something? What's your advice to them on why they should talk about it and be honest with their feelings?
When you talk to somebody about how you're feeling, someone you trust, of course, make sure you're only talking to people you trust and people who genuinely care about you. But when you do find that outlet, it kind of gives you a sense of relief. You know that, I got this off my chest. I'm not the only one probably feeling like this. And it's okay if I am feeling like this. Everybody has episodes of when they're sad, when they're depressed, when they're unmotivated, when they're lazy or don't feel like getting up out of bed and they just rather be in bed all day. Everybody has those feelings of when they feel like they just can't do it anymore. But when you find that outlet, you realize like, wow, things are going to get better and I'm not going to be here forever. I'm not going to be in this sad spot for forever. And so talking to people really does genuinely help and allows you to realize that the situation may not be as big as you think it is and things will eventually get better. And so it's important to find that outlet, no matter who it is, your parents, your best friend, your aunt, your uncle, your cousin. It's important to have that near you.
Well, Queen, thank you so much for being vulnerable, for being open and sharing your thoughts here about mental health this week during Big 12 Mental Health Awareness Week. It's an important topic, like we've said, and I just hope that everyone who listens here today can take something with them and to be as brave and as bold as you. So thank you for taking the time to visit with us today, and good luck with the rest of your season.
No problem. Thank you.
It is Big 12 Mental Health Awareness Week. I'm Brooke Bednarz with Baylor Vision, and today I am joined by Adam Flagler of Baylor Men's Basketball. Adam, thank you for taking the time to talk with us about this important topic today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's just dive right into it. As a student athlete here at Baylor, part of the Big 12 Conference, what are your immediate thoughts when you heard that there is a Big 12 Mental Health Awareness Week?
I was excited. It's amazing to just even be able to talk about mental health beyond sports is so important. So I'm just glad I'm able to, voice how important mental health is and to possibly help somebody else.
How would you say your experience as an athlete here at Baylor in the realm of mental health has been? Baylor Athletics has taken a big step in making sure that that's a part of our athletic department here. And I know the men's basketball team emphasizes that as well.
Definitely. It's very important. Personally, I think my spirituality definitely helps with my mental, especially with being on the court. Being able to take a lot of stress away from, playing in arenas with 1,500 people and being able to give it all to God and just play for him has definitely helped me to just go out there and play freely. So, mental health is very important, and how you carry yourself, how you can impact your teammates, and just the confidence that you can show out there on the court.
Basketball obviously takes a lot of skill that you have that I do not. But part of basketball, a huge part of it is the mental aspect. Can you kind of go into a little bit more detail about how important it is that you take care of that part of your athletic ability in your life, as well as getting in the weight room and taking time in the film room as well?
Definitely. The mental aspect is easily the most important thing when it comes to anything in life, believing that you are more than capable of doing things and going out there and performing at a high level. You have to think and visualize yourself being able to perform before you can actually step out and do it. So being able to train your mental, reading books, I currently am reading a Kobe Bryant Mamba Mentality book, which is a great book. So just being able to feed your mental as well as your physical is definitely important. But like I said before, you can't, go out there and perform at a high level without believing at first that you can do it.
Absolutely. Do you think there's a stigma around college athletes being, maybe they shouldn't speak up about it, maybe they shouldn't talk about it? Do you think there's a stigma that's carried along with mental health in the world of college athletes?
I believe that a lot of times people see us as inhumane, not really humans. So, I think we don't pay attention to the fact that we are human beings. And at the end of the day, we do struggle and we do have desires a lot of times that we may not, face and be able to overcome these outcomes and everything. But having a mental health program at Baylor, having a mental health program around the world, especially the Big 12 and how important they see it, definitely brings a lot of joy to us as players and makes us feel a lot more comfortable just being able to voice, how we feel and how to best, perform at a high level.
What made you feel comfortable enough? Because a lot of people are going to see this and they're going to look up to you and see that you took the time out of your very busy schedule as a student athlete here at Baylor to talk about this subject with us today. So what made you feel comfortable enough, and maybe some advice for the younger athletes who look up to you on why you were able to speak about this today and why you felt it was important?
Just being who I am. I want to be a pediatrician growing up. So I have aspirations, and I'm in pre-med right now. So I'm very sympathetic. I care about all people. And I a lot of times step outside of my body in the sense of I'm struggling at certain things. And a lot of people are telling me, you're doing so well, you're doing all this. I can feel how somebody else may be going through certain things and how they feel. So just being selfless and having that mindset, it's made me a lot more comfortable to be able to talk about mental health and just be here today. So at the end of the day, I feel like all of our purposes is to help others. So if I'm able to help at any way, shape, or form, that's what I want to do.
And finally, is there anyone at Baylor, whether it's someone in the mental health department, a professor, someone over in SACE, or anyone on your coaching staff, is there any one person or maybe a group of people who have helped you develop into the man that you are today in regard to recognizing your mental health and recognizing that that's an aspect that's just as important as all the rest?
This community in general, just being in Baylor. When I first came here, all I wanted to do was first, grow spiritually. Academics, one of the best in the world. So being able to chase my dream, I want to be a pediatrician, and then basketball, being the best of the best program. Like all of it just really checked my boxes. But just the people in which the community has, from the coaching staff to the players, and being able to, my redshirt year, being able to sit back, analyze and kind of learn from how people deal with, the stresses that come with not only basketball, but school, life in general. And just picking people's brains, learning, and seeing how important it is just through trial and error really has made me a lot more comfortable being able to voice how important mental health is.
Well, Adam, I can't thank you enough. I know I speak for a lot of people when I say that, for you to take the time to be open and be vulnerable and express your thoughts surrounding mental health. It's a lot of fun to watch you out on the court, and we wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season. But thanks for pausing and taking a moment to talk about this today.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think it feeds my spirit in the sense of me being able to pause with such a crazy schedule and just be able to talk to somebody and just voice our opinions is really great. So I thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, that was Adam Flagler with the Baylor men's basketball team talking about the importance of mental health, not only for himself, but for everyone as the Big 12 celebrates Big 12 Mental Health Awareness Week.
Thanks, Brooke, and thanks again to Queen Egbo and Adam Flagler as we help recognize February 19th through the 26th as Big 12 Mental Health Awareness Week, and we appreciate their time and input on the subject. And that is this week's Sic Em Podcast. For Brooke Bednarz, I'm John Morris. We'll see you next time with another edition of the Sic Em Podcast.
You've been listening to the Sic Em Podcast. The Sic Em Podcast has been a production of Baylor Athletics.